Hello everyone, and welcome to you all, wherever you are in the world, to our Parents, Guardians and Carers talk for September 2022. My name is John Elsmore and I'm the Director of Student Affairs at the university, which means that I'm responsible for much of our student support and wider student experience, along with some of my colleagues who you'll hear from today and many, many others. I'm delighted to welcome all of you to our extended University of Birmingham family, and I'm very much looking forward to meeting as many of our new students as possible over the coming weeks. This is an exciting time, and not just for us, but we also understand that alongside the excitement and the packing and the preparation, that you as parents and carers and guardians of some of our new students will have your own anxieties and questions. So over the next half an hour or so, I'm going to invite our lovely and expert panel to share some advice, expert opinions, expectations and top tips that we hope from our experience will answer many of those questions. At the University of Birmingham, we've been welcoming new students for more than 120 years. And even though by now you would think that we know what we're doing, one of the most exciting things about working in a university is that every year, the best part of 10,000 new students join our community and bring their new experiences and outlooks with them. So I'd like to introduce to you our panel today by asking them to introduce themselves. And I'm going to start, please, with Celia.
Hello, my name is Professor Celia Greenway, and it's really great to be talking to you today. So my role, I'm responsible for student engagement, and I work very closely with the students and the staff across the university, organising the tutorial system and the student representation system. Thank you.
Thanks, Celia. Acacia, hello.
Hi, I'm Acacia and I am the Guild President at the Guild of Students, which is a students' union here at the University of Birmingham. And I'm responsible for the Students' Union and all things that kind of happen within it. So if you ever have any questions, you can always drop me an email.
Thanks, Acacia. Hello, Drew.
Hi everyone, I'm Drew Limforth, the Assistant Director of Student Services, responsible for wellbeing and partnerships at the organisation. So I oversee the delivery of wellbeing and mental health services at the university.
Thanks, Drew, and hello, John.
Hi everyone, my name is John Mamo and I'm the Manager for Student Living at the University of Birmingham, and we're responsible for the accommodation at the university.
Thank you all. And so in just a few moments, I'm going to ask each of you on our panel to give your take from your area of expertise on 3 questions. Those are, what can new students expect in the first few weeks at university? What support is available to students throughout their time at university? And then finally, what is your best advice to our audience of parents, carers and guardians? And so while our panel take just a moment to think about those questions, I just wanted to remind you of a couple of things that make Birmingham special. Our beautiful 250-acre learning campus is just 7 minutes on the train from Birmingham city centre, departing from our own university train station. Birmingham is one of the youngest and most super diverse cities in the UK. And some of you might have seen that we have recently hosted the 2022 Commonwealth Games. If you are watching the hockey, for example, I can see the hockey pitches right outside my window today. And if you're going to be living in university accommodation at the Vale Village, then you might be sleeping in the same room as a gold medal winning athlete, although they have gone now, obviously. We are a global community of nearly 40,000 students and 8,000 staff. Joining us, some of our students may have travelled as far as 9,000 miles to be here. Some of you maybe 9 miles or less. Our students are global and they are local, and all of you are very, very welcome. So, panel, that's all the time you have to think. So I'm going to go to that first question, please. What can new students expect in the first few weeks at university? And I'm going to ask that question of Celia first.
Oh, thank you, John. Thank you for making me first. So, actually, I suppose I've got a fairly unique perspective, because not only am I a member of the teaching staff here at the university, but I also have been a parent, actually, of a child that attended this university. So I guess that I understand how you're all feeling. I feel a certain amount of empathy, because I remember how I felt. It's a mixture of emotions. I've only got one child, and she was coming away to university. And I can remember how I felt that very first weekend, and indeed how I felt for those first few weeks. So not only is it a transition for your child, we're aware that it's a transition for you. But to return to that transition, we do recognise that the transition from school is a big one. We're not a big school, we are a different sector of education. A university is a big community. So I suppose I want to reassure parents that over the summer, as a member of the teaching staff, so not just in my leadership position, but as a member of staff teaching in a school, I have actually been getting ready for students to come and join us. We're very aware that students need to have confidence in developing their academic skills, and we're very aware that they need to be prepared to do those first assignments. So actually over the summer, in the school that I'm based, so we call schools here, it is confusing. I've just said we're not a big school, but we're in schools, academic faculties. We've been preparing to welcome first year students and PGT students. And we spend the summer doing that actually, and we think about our teaching, we think about how to develop our teaching. So that's what we've been doing. But I suppose I want to reassure you that actually we do think about this very carefully over the summer. We're not just working on students' subject knowledge. We know that students come here to learn their degree, but we're actually thinking, what do students need in those first few weeks? They need to know about referencing, they need to know how to use the library. Those are the skills that we're working on as well. And what we actually want is for students to feel confident and then to feel articulate in sessions. So I just really want to say that we've been working hard, but we work hard with enjoyment, because actually the thing that I enjoy most, I'm in a leadership role, but the thing that I still enjoy most is that first day when I stand up and welcome students and begin my teaching. And this is why we're here. It's the enjoyment of being part of a huge learning community. So, it is a pleasure and a privilege to start a new year, as John said, and it's with a sense of huge enthusiasm and enjoyment that I'm welcoming students, new and old, back to the university. So I really hope that your child feels that sense of community and enjoyment when they begin working with us.
Thank you, Celia. Can I go next to Acacia? What can new students expect?
It is a really busy time, if you want it to be. At the Guild, which is a students' union, we have a jam-packed first week for students with welcome fairs where they can get Domino's pizzas for £1. I think I had about 3 last year. Societies fairs where they can sign up to a whole range of societies, from Hummus Society to Chemistry Society to, I think there was a skydiving society last year. I'm not sure. Hopefully that's still running. There's also a Give It a Go fair, a med fair, because there are lots of med societies too, as well as a sports fair. So much going on. And then in the evenings, we have a whole range of different activities, from a UV neon party to a sports night to pub quizzes, silent discos, as well as some sober networking events for postgrads, but also for international students and community students. So there's something for everyone, multiple things for lots of different people. My advice would be to just get stuck in and get involved.
Thanks, Acacia. 3 is a very modest number of pizzas. Domino's Pizza Day is already in my diary for this coming welcome week. Drew, what can new students expect?
Thanks, John. To start with, I'd echo Celia and Acacia's view that there's lots of hustle and bustle going on at the start of term. And transitions for us, and think particularly around wellbeing and mental health support, are really, really important. So we On the arrivals weekend, we will have a really large-scale wellbeing marquee that will highlight and showcase all of the partnership activity and all the different partners that we work with to support students on campus. And that will be available through the week. So students can just come and drop in. There'll be a range of activities. There'll be a chill out space with our pause service there too. And it's just a great space to come in and get familiar with the community that we have at the university. Students will likely be meeting lots of new people, experiencing lots of things for the first time. And that can be really, really exciting and really fulfilling. And that's something that we want to kind of make sure happens. But occasionally that can feel quite daunting. So we want to make sure that we're available throughout the first few weeks, as accessible as possible. But we're really confident that between our services, all the things that are going on across the university community and the Guild of Students that Acacia has just mentioned, students will find something for them.
Thanks, Drew. And John.
Yeah, and I'll also echo what everyone else said, that obviously the transition from home to university is quite a big one for students, especially when it comes to accommodation. We know that accommodation is going to be their new home for the next year. It's quite intimidating and daunting for especially the parents. But what you can expect, in the first few weeks is, first of all, a very warm welcome from our teams. The academic side was preparing for the tuition and the learning for students. We were preparing, making sure that the homes are ready for your children to come over and stay with us. Our accommodation villages will be full with over 6,000 students from all over the UK and the world. A quarter of our students are international, so that's a big, diverse population. And as well, we have a student experience schemes that are running, that are the hall reps and the student mentors. These are peer-to-peer schemes. They're led by the Guild, and they have lots of activities to welcome our student backs, as Acacia mentioned. And these events, they're aimed at making friends, meeting people, and most importantly, having fun, because having fun at university is a big part of the experience.
Thanks, John, and thank you all. So in those first few weeks, there's a lot going on in the classroom and all around the campus. But as we move through the semester, to ask you all again now, what support is available to students throughout their time at university? And I'm going to go a different way around the room this time. And so I'm going to start with Drew. What support's available throughout their time at university?
So we have a genuinely 24/7, 365 support offered for students at the university. So we have our UB Heard service, which has trained counsellors and practitioners at the end of the phone for students, and that's available globally. So students who are based on study abroad or placement, as well as students that are based at any of our campuses. And in addition to that, we have a really great resource portal where students can access support through live chat, but also loads of wellbeing seminars, podcasts, nutritional advice, maintaining healthy relationships type advice, right the way through to cooking tutorials and kind of video seminars and the like. So really good resource bed that's available wherever you are, whenever you are. In terms of our actual on-campus support, we have wellbeing officers in each of our schools and colleges who provide practical support, advice and guidance, both in the academic space, but also provide that listening ear and are able to signpost students to the right services for them. And we have a really highly trained wellbeing network of partner services like accommodation, like the Guild of Students, who are able to support and signpost students to the right services for them. And then in terms of on-campus mental health support, we have we're really pleased to have our really innovative partnership wellbeing hub called Pause at UOB that we deliver with our NHS Trust and the Children's Society, which is a no-wait drop-in mental health and support hub that's available right at the heart of our campus on our Green Heart. And then we also have, by no means least, our mental health and wellbeing teams and student disability services teams to support students with more severe long-term and enduring needs as well. And our mental health and wellbeing team are available via registration for up to 6 sessions of psychological support. We take a genuine partnership approach at the university, so we work in partnership with lots of services, both on campus and in the community, and make sure they are as accessible as they possibly can be for all of our students.
Thanks, Drew. And I think that sounds like a nice moment to hand over to Acacia, talking about partnership in supporting students.
Yeah, definitely. We work with the university loads in providing support and welfare for our students. But specifically at the Guild, we have Guild Advice, which you can email, and they help with things ranging from academic issues to housing to wellbeing to international support, so much more. But it's really, really great. We have student mentors, which I think John will touch on, community wardens who work to keep yourself and your home safe, especially if you're not living in university accommodation, accommodation support, academic support, revision tips to avoiding plagiarism, as well as a student rep scheme, which is really great to have input on your course if you have any issues. And we also have, who's part of my lovely team, Reeve, who is our welfare and community officer. And so if you have any questions and you're not sure where to go, you can go to her as your first point of call, and she will tell you where to go or help you with your issues, or me if you need a hand. But yeah, there's a whole range at the Guild, and we have loads of resources to be able to help you out if you need it. So yeah.
Thanks, Acacia. And because you mentioned John, I'll hand over to John. What support's available to students?
Yeah, thank you, John. So yeah, supporting our students is one of the key pillars of our accommodation strategy. Where we have our site teams also available 24/7. We are never closed. We are always there if our students need us. We also have the student living team, which is based at the University Centre on campus. And again, we have our peer-to-peer schemes, like Acacia mentioned, the student mentors. They're year-round support, and they are there from the very first day. So they do, the flat agreements, and they're there to, if our students, accommodation need someone to talk to. This year, we're also launching a new program. It's called the Active Residence Program. So it's a UOB sport program for non-sporting students, and basically it helps non-sporting students, which I would classify myself as one, engage in sport. There's free to use spaces. There's some coach activity sessions aimed at all levels, and they could be even simple things like walking groups and running groups. So it doesn't need to be something that you have to sweat to do. It's just something to help integrate you with a wider sport community. And last and not least, we also wanted to mention the meal plan. So it's a meal plan is something that students in accommodation can add up to their package, their accommodation package. It's a great thing if students are struggling with cooking. Not everyone is perhaps so apt at cooking, or struggling with eating alone. Food is one of the easiest ways to connect people together. So if you're having those challenges, or you face those challenges whilst at university, come and talk to us, and we can arrange you to join onto the meal plan, so you can have healthy home-cooked food given to you, made by our chefs every day, fresh, on premise, and you can also enjoy that food in the company of other students in our massive dining halls. So yeah, a lot of support available to our students in accommodation.
Thank you, John. And Celia, can I ask you finally to tell us about support that's available to students throughout their time at university?
Thank you, John, and thank you, other John, because I think staff would be interested in trying a sport that they hadn't tried before. So it's given me an idea. So actually, those of you that heard me talk at an open day will know that we provide every student with a personal tutor. And that personal academic tutor is a continuous method of support throughout a student's time at university. So the phrase we use, it's a golden thread. And it literally is. It's from beginning to end of their university career. Not only will they have the opportunity to meet with that tutor, who will be somebody based in their academic area of expertise, they'll have that opportunity to meet with them in a group of students, but then on a one-to-one basis at regular intervals throughout their time at Birmingham. Now, actually, that sounds sort of like a chore for staff. We have to, it's an extra in our job. On the contrary, it's a key part of our role. And to make it sound a bit of a cliche, actually, staff really do enjoy getting to know that small group of students better. And we actually feel that it's a privilege to work and to get to know students better. So it's not a chore, it's not an additional part of our course, it's a key part of our course. and student support is what we see as a way for students to become successful. So we put in the support for everybody, and we put it all in at the beginning, and then students start to flourish and become independent learners. Our support is very joined up. So actually the fact that John has put me last is quite appropriate, because I do work with Drew and I work with Acacia, and indeed we work with accommodation. So if somebody in an academic tutorial says, I have an issue, first of all, we listen, but then we think, actually, we know who could help them more, who would be a better person to support that student. Whereas if they've got a problem with their assignment, then obviously we're very well placed to support them through that. And I think this year is particularly exciting for me because, like everybody else, people have talked about new things they're doing. I like to get things even better than they were the previous year, each year. Now that's a particular challenge for us because we've won a national and international award for our outstanding student support through our tutorial system. We're awarded a prize for institutional approach to tutoring by the UK Association of Advisors and Tutors. So to get better than that, I thought, what can I do this year? What can we do as an institution to make it an even better experience for students and staff? So we've created over the summer something called a Student Support and Development Hub. And in fact, Drew and Acacia and her team have all been part of the construction of this hub. So the idea is that the student and staff will see the same information. So if a student is stuck as to what help they need, they can look at the support hub and have that discussion with their tutor in the room and say, what do you think? Do you think that I would be better going to Wellbeing or ringing 24/7 help? What do you think is the most appropriate support for me? And we've really worked hard to ensure that all students have the same access to support through the gateway, if you like, of the tutorial system. The other thing I've been doing over the summer is to work with the Careers Network, because when I spoke about confidence in my first talk, that's what we're really, really trying to get students to be. Because we're not just thinking about the knowledge they gain in their degrees, we are thinking about them being confident to take their place in society and achieve beyond the university. So I've been working with the Careers Network so we can make sure that the tutorial space is an informed space to get students to develop their confidence, to become articulate, and then eventually to thrive beyond Birmingham, beyond the university. So we actually don't just think it stops when they leave university. We're really thinking this is how we can make confident students beyond Birmingham, is what I'm working on this year and indeed next year. And your child, when they come to join us, will again be part of that community, working within the university, but also within subjects and outside of subjects, developing the whole person. I think that's the message I really want to get across, actually, is that support's not just about doing well in your assignment, but it is about making use of all those things that John and Drew and Acacia have mentioned, joining clubs and societies, and making sure that you actually become part, make the most of your time here with us. Don't just sit in a room and think about passing your assignments. And I think you as a parent can reinforce that message, that it isn't just about getting the first, it is about doing all the other things that the university can offer you. And the tutorial system can help the student bring all of those together. So thank you, and thank you everybody else for sort of giving me some ideas of things to talk about today.
Thank you, Celia. And so our final question of those three questions, which is to ask each of our panelists, what is your best advice to our audience of parents, carers, guardians, your best advice, your top tips, and maybe for this one we'll start with Acacia.
Yeah, so my biggest advice would be to get stuck in, join societies that look interesting to you. I joined politics and netball. I didn't even know that was a society. but I've met so many friends that are definitely going to be lifelong ones, just from joining One Society. And I also got to know some people on my course as a result of it, which was amazing. You can't go wrong by signing up to stuff. And if you don't go to all of it, that's fine. But yeah, and I'd also recommend planning out your week before you arrive and recommending that your children do the same, just so that they have a rough idea of what they want to do and don't miss out on anything, just because the week can be so manic and so busy that if they have a rough idea of what they want to do, they can do it and take advantage of everything that we put on for them. But yeah, encourage them to get stuck in, take every opportunity, and you only get a kind of a welcome week once, so take advantage of it.
Thanks, Acacia. I'm going to go to John next.
Thank you, John. Similar to Acacia, but so my best advice would be that students will not remember the room that they were in, but they remember the people they spent time with. So encourage your children to put themselves out there as much as they're comfortable with, because meeting new people is, one of the best things about the university experiences. And also, a second piece of advice, I know you only asked for one, John, but as the city with the most Michelin stars outside of London, I'd say try the food when you're here. There's some amazing places. And if you want to know where to get a good coffee, please feel free to reach out.
Thank you very much, John. Cost of living crisis, Michelin star restaurants, but perhaps as a special treat at graduations or when parents come up for that. Some of us will be special offer Domino's for £1 at the Guild. Drew, what would your best advice to our audience of parents, carers and guardians be?
So I suppose from me, it's a recognition, obviously students are about to start an entirely new chapter in their lives, and we've spoken today about all the fantastic things that are available, all the different experiences and the wonderful things that students experience. I think for the vast majority of students, they'll hit the ground running and it'll be absolutely fantastic, and they'll be calling and WhatsApping every now and again to let you know how well it's all going. But for occasionally, we find that students put a little bit too much pressure on themselves for it all to be perfect early on. And I think it's really important that for parents and carers that they know that support services are there, and to encourage students to their child or the student to access them. Whether that be You Be Heard, Pause, we're available in 30 different languages plus British Sign Language. We make sure that we're there for students. If you still have concerns or worries, you can contact the university. You can make contact with our services and we can provide advice and guidance on the different services that are available. We cannot provide any information on students at all at the university unless we have their explicit consent, but we do act on all the information that we receive from third parties to make sure that students are safe at the university. So please do contact us if you have any concerns. And then finally, for me, I guess it's a recognition that it's just as stressful for parents and carers almost over the first few weeks as it is for the students themselves. But from my perspective, to rest assured that we have a beautiful, fantastic campus, and students that are coming to us in a couple of weeks' time are going to have the time of their lives.
Thank you very much, Drew. And Celia, I'd intentionally left you until last on this one because, as you said at the top of the recording today, you're the person that has most recently been in the position of being a parent whose child has come to the University of Birmingham. So from that particular perspective and your experience, what is your best advice to our audience?
Thank you, John. And actually, thank you, other John, because one of the things that I say to parents and carers at open days is don't think of this so much as a loss and an end to something, that you are gaining a new stage in your relationship with your child. So you're not losing your child, you're gaining a new relationship with them and a relationship with the city, as John has pointed out, that actually that you have a different perspective, that you visit them in a different place, perhaps for some of you. But even if you haven't physically moved, it's still a different stage. So you don't stop becoming a parent or a carer. Then actually think to yourself, now this is something that's quite personal that I can share with you, that when my daughter started university, we live in Worcestershire. Geographically, it didn't seem that far away. but she didn't know Birmingham that well, and I actually didn't know Birmingham that well. But when she moved here, I thought, well, we're close. I won't go and see her for the first week or so, the first weekend or so. And then she phoned me and said, Mum, everybody else is being taken out by their parents at the weekend. So think about that. Think about, don't be too harsh. Actually go by what your child says. If they say, do you fancy coming up for the weekend? I know fuel costs and energy crisis allowing, but think, actually, they've asked me to come. So, you know, you don't need to be tough. That's what I'm saying. Still be a parent. Also think, I haven't heard from them for a bit. Perhaps I'll give them a ring. So take that initiative. Think you won't know what they're doing from day to day in the same way as you did at school. There won't be a portal where we communicate with you and we give you a list of homework, lists of topics they will study. So you'll need to ask them. So actually, my big piece of advice is don't stop being a parent or carer. Remember that your child still needs your support. Whilst you're busy converting your spare room into a gym, they're actually still at work, still working, still engaging, still a little bit apprehensive themselves. So remember that and contact them. But obviously enjoy this next stage. Listen to what they have to say. And remember the things that we've discussed today in this call. So if your child rings you and says, or WhatsApps you, which is the case with my child, that she'll WhatsApps me with a long list of things that she needs help with. But remember that we've offered today, we've said that you've got a personal academic tutor. That can be the first person that you tell your situation to. Or if you know that it's something that is affecting your well-being, the wellbeing officer may be the first person that you talk to. If you're stuck for something to do, then you might want to talk to the guild about joining a society. So we've offered all of these different ranges of support, but sometimes children and students in a crisis forget that we're all working together to support them. So perhaps when they phone you in a state about their assignment mark, which is usually the first point, I don't think I've done very well with my assignment. If you say, or I don't understand what my assignment is about, if you say to them, well, why don't you go and talk to your personal tutor about it? That will help them and remind them that it's not something that is an extra. As I said, it's a key part of their course. So I suppose for you, two things to take away. Remember, you're still a parent. This is a new stage of your relationship, but we are here working together to give the best experience for your child. So I hope that we've convinced you of that, because we genuinely are here to help them. And we won't forget about them. They're not anonymous. We are here for them.
Thank you, Celia. I think that's a lovely finish. That's pretty much all of the time that we have with our panel today. So I'd just like to say thank you again to all of our panel members. Thank you, Celia. Thank you, Drew. Thank you, Acacia. Thank you, John, for all of that information and good advice. And if you'd like to find out any more about the Welcome experience at Birmingham and look again at all of the things that we've told you about today, you can find more information on our web pages. You can just go to birmingham.ac.uk and click on the big front page link that says congratulations and welcome. That will also take you to details about events at the Guild of Students, but you can also look at their web pages directly at guildofstudents.com. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you again to our panel, and I think goodbye from all of us. Goodbye.